Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be the logistics of sex. What I want to talk about here is I've got an email from a guy who has been, I did an email or answered an email of his in a previous video newsletter called When She Jerks You Around. And so this email is kind of like an updated success story of how some things have changed. And so he shares like how he's been interacting with a woman who previously blew him off because he made a lot of mistakes. And so what I want to talk about here is he did most things right, with the exception is it's obvious that he really didn't plan on the logistics of sex. Because as I talk about in the book, it's a man's job to create an opportunity for sex to happen. Most guys, when they go out on dates, they're all focused on locking the girl to a commitment and getting her or forcing a relationship upon her, and just instead of just hanging out, having fun, and hooking up. And when you really start to apply the things I teach in my book, you become good at it. Well, a lot of guys are always really shocked at how easy it is to hook up with women, and when you get good at it, you'll be almost all your dates, you go out and you'll sleep with them on the first date. So my goal is to help him tweak his game, because a lot of times when things start happening like this guy, things went so well, he didn't really plan ahead for it, because in his mind he's thinking, oh, it'll probably take 5 dates or 10 dates before she's ready to hook up, and he just didn't even plan for it. So I have a quote that I wrote, and then I want to go through his email and see what he needs to do to tweak his game so he can make sure next time he goes out with her or some other girl, he can get laid on usually the first date. So the quote says, plan your work and work your plan. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. As Confucius said, success depends upon prior preparation. Without said preparation, there is sure to be failure. For men, what is a date really? A date is really creating an opportunity for sex to happen, not locking a woman down to a commitment or imposing a relationship upon her. The reality is that depending upon the values a man and a woman share regarding sex, relationships, and marriage, sex is an inevitable result of the dating and courtship process. Most women will sleep with a guy by the second or third date. Therefore, in order for there to be a successful seduction, men should plan their dates to facilitate the logistics of privacy, intimacy, and sex, in addition to having protection. Always remember your raincoat, fellas. So let's go through his email. He says, hey coach, I apologize for the long email, but I just wanted to share my half success story with you. The girl that blew me off and jerked me around for my last coaching email with you sent me a WhatsApp message after 6 weeks of no contact. She said, hey you, on Friday night, and I responded to her Saturday morning so I wouldn't seem too available. Yeah, think about it. When someone treats you properly, they get the gift of your time. When they blow you off and you don't hear from them for 6 weeks, I'm fucking busy. I'll get to you later. That should be your attitude, and therefore you wait until the next day. It's not that you're going to ignore them for several days or ignore them completely. You're just going to take your time responding. Why? Because they're a low priority now. You haven't heard from her in 6 fucking weeks. Why should you be in a rush to get in contact with this girl who blew you off? She goes to the back of the line. Move your feet, lose your seat. You snooze, you lose. We exchanged a few messages, and without hesitation, I asked her, when are you free to get together? I'd like to see you. I've heard that somewhere before. She said she had exams the following week, and she would get in touch with me the following weekend. I didn't hear from her. So what does that tell me? You told her to get in touch, and she didn't. Why? She just ain't ready to see you yet, and that's okay. What is she doing? She's putting her finger in the water. She's just kind of seeing where you're at, seeing if you're still kind of nibbling at the hook a little bit. And the smart thing is nothing. You're indifferent to it. It doesn't bother you. I mean, if you had other women in your life and you had other options, you wouldn't care about a girl you hadn't heard from in 6 weeks and who you try to make a day with. Oh, I got exams. Great. You know what? When you figure out your schedule, get in touch with me. All right, I'll get in touch with you next weekend. When you're in a situation like that, most of the time, when she says, yeah, I'll get in touch with you, they don't. And usually they do it on purpose. to see how you react. Because most guys are like, hey, are we going to get together this weekend or what? What's going on? You do nothing. The following weekend was also Valentine's Day, and I bumped into her at a nightclub. What a coinky-dink. How convenient. I wasn't going to make the same mistake as the last time and let her walk away from me, so I grabbed her for drinks and we partied together and had a good time. Throughout the night, she stayed and left my table many times. Women are like cats, dude. When the cat's away, the mice will play. I remember Corey using the cat analogy. Let women come and go as they like, so I let her do her own thing. Later, I found out that she actually came with her current/ex-boyfriend to the club. And she was actually running back and forth between the boyfriend's table and my table. Well, I'd say, really, she's just a fuck buddy. But if he's the ex... So she's kind of got back together with the ex-boyfriend. That's... What was I saying earlier about her just kind of testing the water? Put her finger in the water, trying to see if you're still nibbling at the hook. That's all, because she's thinking about, okay, I think I'm going to get rid of this guy. Yeah. But she hadn't heard from you in 6 weeks, so she starts to wonder, and that's why she reaches out, but she wasn't ready to make a date. And this is why, because she's still hanging out with the ex. You see how important it is to play things right, like I talk about in the book? Most guys would totally be freaking out at this situation or be getting all pissed off and buttered. It has nothing to do with you. Don't take it personally. You're an equal opportunity seducer. You don't chase anybody. She got in contact, you invited her, and she did nothing with your invitation. So what? Because if you think from the end like James Bond does, he's like, if she's contacting me, eventually, when things are right for her, she'll call. And if I'm still available, I'm happy to hook up with her. I kept my emotions in check, but inside I was a little angry. I left the club without saying goodbye, and an hour later I received several messages from her. She said she came back looking for me and sent several kiss emoticons saying goodnight. Isn't that interesting? I wrote about a similar situation that I was in. I was 23 or 24, I think it was. 21, 22 years ago. Fucking time flies. But I remember that. It was the same situation. I thought this girl didn't like me, so my buddy and I, we left. And she calls me the next day. Hey, where were you? I came back and you were gone. Because the same thing. Girl was gorgeous. She had lots of dudes there. We were at her father's. It wasn't really a nightclub. It was like a country bar type thing. But anyways, I was like, the next day, I was like, at the time, I didn't get what was going on. I was like, I go there, I meet her there, and all she does is talk to these other dudes. She kept getting pulled away from me. I was like, my buddy's like, dude, she didn't give a fuck about you. Let's go. And that guy, he was pretty good with women. So I listened to him. And then the next day, she calls me. Like, where'd you go? I left. Why? Because my time's fucking valuable. I didn't know at the time, but had I known then what I know now, it's like my time's valuable. She asked me to meet her there. I go and meet her there, and she wants to talk to all these other people. So I left. And it made her wonder. And it made her pursue. If she's chasing you, she ain't getting rid of you. The next day, on Sunday, she sent me another message asking what I was up to. I thought to myself, this is really effortless when she's blowing up my phone. Exactly. Again, without dithering, I asked her when she was free to get together. We set up a definite date the following Wednesday, which was February 18th. I actually canceled on her because I had forgotten that I had made family plans. Oh. She mentioned rescheduling. Well, that's a good sign. Shows that she was interested in seeing you, and she was kind of bummed that you had to cancel on her. So I told her I needed to figure out my schedule, and I would get back to her. 2 days later, she sent me another message. Notice how she's not waiting for you to figure out your schedule and get back to her. You see it? It's like over the course of several weeks, the power just starts to flip. It's subtle movement towards you, and then it kind of picks up speed. Once again, she was hitting the ball over without me hitting it back. Again, I used the same Corey Wayne line, and she responded with, I'm free Wednesday if you are. I made a definite date for Wednesday, February 25th, and when the weekend came along, she messaged me again. She told me if I was going out to go find her at the nightclub. Sure, I'll be all over that. I had other plans that night, so I ignored her message until the next day, and I replied, wow, you really can't wait until Wednesday to see me, huh? I hope you're not going to attack me when I pick you up. She said, you can say that, but I'll contain myself. I like that. It's good playful banter. Nice job. You're definitely learning, Padawan. I ran into her the next day at the club again, and she came with her current/ex-boyfriend. So this tells me a girl's doing that. She's bounced between you and another guy. Women with high self-esteem, they don't do that. When they know a guy ain't right for them, that's it. They're fucking out of there. But girls that tend to be a little narcissistic or they're insecure, they have to have several guys in their lives. I spent the night bantering with other girls at the club, but I noticed she was constantly in my orbit trying to get my attention. We didn't contact each other until the day of our February 25th date when she initiated contact asking if we were still hanging out. I told her that I confirmed with you last week that I was going to pick you up from your place at 7 p.m. Stop the presses. What do you mean you're going to pick her up? As I discuss in my article and video, 7 principles to get an ex back, you don't go pick anybody up that blows you off. They got to come to you. Otherwise, it's just not worth your time. You invite them over to make dinner together, hang out, have fun, and hook up at your place. Why? Because it doesn't warrant any more effort than that. So you're doing pretty good until right there. When I picked her up, she told me she thought I was going to flake on her. She was worried. That tells me she cares. My textbook response was, I'm a man of my word. She asked me where we were going, and my textbook response was, that's for me to know and you to find out later. I think I've heard that one before. For the whole date, I kept my cool, and I didn't talk about anything regarding relationships. However, she did ask me a couple of questions that made me unsure if she was testing me or not. They're always testing your strength, dude. It's just the way it is. They will always want to see what you're fucking made of. She asked me how I spent my Valentine's Day, and I responded with, it was eventful. I had a couple of dinners here and there. Interesting. I like that response. She also asked if I hit on waitresses. I responded, I'm a talkative person, so whether they're pretty or ugly, I can strike up a conversation with anybody. Is that considered hitting on them? Were these testing questions, Coach? It's all a test, bro. I drove her home after dinner, and I went for the kiss. Just think, if she'd have come over to your place, and you'd have been making dinner together, when she got a little touchy-feely, started bumping, you could have started making out. So, logistically, you did not plan for sex. You went to her. That's chasing behavior, dude. 7 principles to get an ex back. Google it. Corey Wayne, 7 principles to get an ex back. You need to be reading that. You don't go drive to pick anybody up that blows you off and doesn't call you for 6 fucking weeks, and then you extend an invitation. She's like, oh, I got exams next week. Got exams? More fun than fucking exams. She was surprised that I kissed her, but she didn't give me the cheek. Then an awkward moment happened. She looked at me, smiled, and she wanted to kiss me, but I thought she wanted a hug. So I ended up giving her the cheek. Come on, man. Jeez. Do you think this killed my game, Coach? It didn't help, dude. Again, this tells me you're shocked. You can't believe this is happening. You can't believe this is so easy. Success depends upon prior preparation, and without said preparation, there is sure to be failure. But here you are, you're sitting in her fucking driveway, and then you hug her. You should have kept making out, dude. Think about it. What would James Bond have done? A video I did, a couple months ago, what would James Bond do? You can actually Google that one. Corey Wayne, what would James Bond do? James Bond would have kissed her. Why? Because it's what he felt like fucking doing. She was obviously receptive. Didn't you hug her? Come on, man. Well, I understand. You're young. It's a rookie. If I was your age, I did the same fucking shit and worse. So at least you got further along at your age than I did when I was your age. So just imagine where you'll be when you're my age. It's been 7 days since our date, and I haven't heard from her. I know you said to reattract someone who blew me off, they must do 100% of the calling and texting. Yep. Is there another test to see if she can get me to chase her? No, she's probably still diddling the ex-boyfriend. Because you didn't properly plan for the logistics of sex. You should have had her come to your place and made a dinner date. And if she just said, oh, well, let's go out, there's this really great restaurant, just say, nah, it's been a long week. I'm just in the mood to hang in my place and have a nice quiet evening, make dinner together, and catch up. If you don't want to come over and do that, then give me a call 2 to 3 weeks, and maybe I'll be up for something more formal then. You're not going to go anywhere. She has to come to you for at least 3 dates in a row, hang out, have fun, and hook up. Again, you need to be reviewing 7 Principles to Get an Ex Back, bro. You did great until the end there. You just you tied your shoelaces together, you fumbled the football, and you gave her a hug. Or do you think she is too occupied by the current ex-boyfriend? Well, she's obviously hanging out with him still. Did I say or do something to turn her off? I think we've covered that already. Your opinion is much appreciated. So, where you're at right now, I wouldn't do anything. I mean, maybe she's spending a little bit more time with the ex-boyfriend. It doesn't really fucking matter. But another reason why you should be dating other women, so you can practice this seduction process, practice the logistics of sex. You got to think about that. Every guy that's watching this video right now, before you ever go out on a date with any girl, you got to think about where you're going to be at the end of an evening, and how, are you going to have protection with you? What happens if things go really well and she's ready to hook up? Is there a place where there's privacy, where intimacy and sex can happen? You need to figure that shit out ahead of time. You need to plan for it. You need to think from the end. What would James Bond do? James Bond's getting laid at the end of the evening. Why? Because he's fucking James Bond. That's what always fucking happens. Because he doesn't like, oh, is she gonna? He just makes it happen. He expects it to happen. He doesn't act any other way. He's not fearful. He's not manipulative. He doesn't force anything. Why? It just always happens that way. And so what happened? I can tell you're a little fearful. You're a little unsure of yourself. You hadn't gotten yourself familiar with 7 Principles to Get an Ex Back. And so you weren't really prepared. You didn't think things clearly through. And therefore, I mean, you should have been hooking up with this girl. You should have been bumping uglies, bro. But instead, you went home to Rosie and her 5 friends. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching session. You can choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions for booking whichever option works best for you. And if you want to know what other books and self-help products I recommend, underneath the coaching options, I've got about 50 different books and self-help products and things and videos that I recommend that will be great to help you on your journey of being fucking absolutely awesome. So go check those out. And I will talk to you soon.